When I was 4 years old, my mother's doctors told my mother that I probably needed special school, assuming that I was a bit slow intellectually, mentally. And my mother, she has a slight bit of Asperger's. So it was really not easy to connect with her emotionally, psychologically. And my father was basically non-existent. I mean, he lived with us, but psychologically, he didn't associate with me very much. That was my childhood, and didn't receive much guidance at all. I mean, yeah, if I was hungry, sure, no problem. Food, toys, no problem. But when it comes to trying to understand, trying to bond with me, it was non-existent. So I felt very much alone from the very beginning. And so I started to realize that, I need to teach things to me, to learn things on my own, because I couldn't count on them. And then growing up year by year, bit by bit, I started to see the dynamics of family relationships with my mother's family members. And I started to realize, okay, they're nice, but all of a sudden, as you grow older, you began to realize there's a bit of jealousy going on and discontent with their own lives. And as family members go, they tend to drag you in to their shit. So yeah, it was quite difficult in this way, and quite a struggle, really. So getting older, I got involved into a car accident when I was younger. And growing up and experiencing this car accident was not pleasant, because it basically damaged my right eye to the point where I can't really use it for reading. Just peripheral vision, really. So my self-esteem was really going down the toilet as a result of that, and really, really affected my confidence in myself. And I figured, okay, the doctors told my mother I'm a bit slow, and the car accident, with this damaged right eye, I said, oh shit, man, I probably can't even find a decent girlfriend, because no one wants to be with a guy like me with a damaged eye, who has problems looking deeply into a woman's eyes and making her fall in love with you, and all these things. And then I said to myself, I'm not getting any guidance and discipline at all from my parents. So when I was growing up, I started to realize that maybe, just go into the military. And so going into the military, they rejected me. I said, what the fuck? They rejected me. They admit stupid people in the military. So I figured, okay, I go into the Navy, maybe learn a trade like fix airplanes, for example, on a carrier. But they rejected me because of my right eye. And so I said, what the fuck do I do now as far as making a living and attracting some woman? It was difficult, just difficult. And so what to do? So in my teens and late teens, I started cooking. I said, yeah, I can do that. They don't have eye examinations for learning how to cook. But then I realized that, cooking, I love to cook still, but cooks, they have like a plumber, carpenter mentality. And they do great work. They're great human beings and quite valuable, of course, in society. But I wanted more. I wasn't satisfied with just being in the kitchen and just cooking, because I needed more fulfillment. I didn't feel fulfilled. I'm sure other people who are super intelligent, great cooks, they feel fulfilled. But I was not feeling fulfilled. And so as a result of not feeling fulfilled, I searched and searched some more. And then, for lack of any other ideas, I started to learn economics and computers. And that didn't feel fulfilling either, you know. And so what else to do? So I volunteered in a hospital, despite the fact that my mother is an oncology nurse, and she always told me not to take up medicine because you won't like it, you know. So I tried it out. I volunteered in a hospital, and to my shock, I loved it. But the hardest thing is the hardest thing is to, overcome my anxiety to seeing people dying or dead. You know, I wouldn't even go to a cemetery for fear of, envisioning people under the ground. And that was terrifying for me. This is the Costa del Sol, Spain. Beautiful mountains. So anyway, I was scared, but at the same time, I was excited to see what can be. So I volunteered in an emergency room, and I realized, oh my God, this is fantastic. You know, these people are frightened. They really need all the help and support they can get. And for me, just being a volunteer and passing a towel to them or some medicine to them, whatever, a blanket, it made me feel so good. So I figured, okay, this is my destiny, And I always loved medical shows like MASH, like Grey's Anatomy, and things like that. And I really love how awesome these doctors are able to save lives. So I was thinking, okay, let's do that, So when I was a student in medicine in Europe, I felt great. I felt like I was in a special group of people who are dedicated to healing really sick people and making a difference in their health. And every day I studied with joy and passion and love at the patients that I was seeing. And when I graduated, I started working in a hospital, a busy hospital in England. And then I started to realize something not pleasant, is that I started to realize that of all the training that we were given as doctors, and I resisted this, I said, no, it can't be. But then I started, also from help from other friends who are telling me, now vaccines are not good, these drugs are not good. And I said, that's impossible, come on. I mean, I've been trained to do this. And so I began to realize bit by bit, slowly, that there's some things that we weren't told in medicine. There's some things that we weren't told in medicine. We weren't told by our professors or the medical books, medical school books. And I started to realize, wow, what did I get myself into? It's really not about healing, but just maintaining the disease so that people are not being healed, but just perpetuate the big cash cow, cashier machine of the pharmaceutical industry. And then worse, I started to realize that vaccines, chemotherapy drugs, and most drugs that we give to patients are really just perpetuating the disease. Okay, it's taking care of the symptoms somewhat, but it's not taking care of the disease and not eliminating the disease. And this, I didn't discover this overnight. It actually took several years to discover. And then I started to see other doctors like Dr. Andrew Weil, said, a doctor, wow, he's from Harvard, but he's studying yoga, meditation, and he's focusing on nutrition. I said, holy shit, we were never taught nutrition in medical school. Maybe just one semester of outdated, junky nutrition that doesn't really amount to much, But I started seeing Andrew Weil, Deepak Chopra, and these other doctors who are not pushing the drugs that we were taught in school, but doing some changes, real changes in lifestyle. And wow, that was a real big shock for me. And then I started changing my direction, changing my path. And I started to realize that, this medicine stuff is really not so safe. Hey, hello, come here. So it's really not so safe, and it's really not good for the health of the person. And so I started to go on a slow quest of changing my mentality towards medicine and towards healing people, really healing people, not perpetuating the disease. But then a horrible divorce came. My son was probably 7 years old. He was 7 years old, and for years I struggled with my ex-wife. I struggled with my ex-wife because our marriage was soon deteriorating, falling apart. And I tried very much to repair it, tried to inspire her, but it was no good. It was absolutely no good. And after several years, I had a quandary. I said, should I stay with my son? Should I stay in the marriage just to stay with my son? And seeing us quarrel and argue and just become this dysfunctional family even further. And I decided to just drift away and become more distant with my ex. And still focusing on my son, of course. And then along came the fateful decision that we started to divorce. Basically, she started to divorce the process. And during the divorce process, because I had already found somebody else, she started to become a person that I never could recognize. She started to use my son as a weapon of revenge against me. And it was 2015, April, the last time I was able to pick my son up from what was our home, was our place. And ever since then, from 2015 till today, I have not had any vacations together with him, no sleepovers whatsoever, not even once. And now it's 2023, and that started in 2015. And the thing that really made things complicated is that she began more and more to tell outrageous lies about me, that I belong in a cult, I was going to kidnap my son back to America, and that I'm a deviant as well, and I'm also a thief, she told the court. And she kept telling my son as well that, don't go in daddy's car, it's dangerous, don't go with him. And she would tell all these outrageous lies. When every time I tried to pick up my son from her place, she would pretend to be home by texting me, but she wouldn't open the door. So I had to have the help of the police. I called them about 20 to 30 times to go to the front door with me so that I can take my son with me for the weekend. And not once was I successful in doing this. And then when we had a court psychologist evaluate us, he wrote 120 pages, basically saying that I'm a good father and that she's a borderline sociopath and narcissist. And she won't ever respect any court rulings. But despite the overwhelming evidence, we also went into mediation, and she canceled that because she realized that the mediator saw through her bullshit. And so she canceled that, saying that he's no good. Whatever psychologist that was put in front of us, whether it be for the one that I hired or the one that she hired, she would always say that, oh, he's no good. And she actually hired one child psychologist to write a paper that I'm a bad father without even meeting me, without even meeting me and analyzing me. Zero. But yet he wrote this disgusting piece of paper. And it was just an absolute struggle for the next, from the divorce until today, still. And so I had two choices, basically. I loved my son so much, and I was in great pain not being able to see him every day, not being able to be with me on a normal father and son relationship basis. And it nearly killed me psychologically. But I realized that I had two choices, either die from the pain or give him at least one healthy parent to be with. When the psychologist was done with the analysis, the court-appointed psychologist, he wrote 120 pages and basically saying to me that he will support me any way he can because she's no good. And her sister and her mother as well, they have the same unhealthy mentality. And he warned me that they're basically cooking him, like three witches cooking their victim, basically, he said. But yet, despite all this overwhelming evidence, the court in Slovakia still gave her full custody. And full custody. And so it's like letting the fox guard the hen house, She kept, of course, abusing him by not letting him be with me. For example, when he wanted to sleep over and he insisted, she said no, of course. And when he slept, she would grab his phone and call me up on his telephone saying, I'm stressing him out. He actually doesn't want to sleep over with me. And that's that. Another time, she actually prevented my phone from calling my son's phone. He basically blocked it, as confirmed by the telephone network operator. So it's been a struggle. It's been such a struggle that I had, as a way of helping myself psychologically, I was writing blogs about healthier parenting and helping other parents also, who are also alienated or not, become better, healthier parents. Along the same lines, I began my journey in my health program, healthier program protocols, to help myself and to be a model, a role model of good health to patients and other people, and to help guide other people with their health issues in a natural, healthy way, not with harmful pharmaceuticals, but with life-changing, health-changing methods, so that they don't have to struggle with their illnesses anymore. For example, from diabetes to heart to stomach problems. A lot of diseases start with stomach issues like gastritis, gastroenteritis, gastroesophageal reflux. And so this type of methodology that I'm following is called functional medicine. We basically use plant-based medicines combined with deeper testing so much deeper than the typical tests that you get from a clinic. There are special laboratories out there, like one in Denmark, for example, that I work with, and we do deeper testing. But going back to not seeing my son, not being able to take care of him, it was so painful. From April 2015, when our divorce started, to September of 2015, I could not call him, I could not visit him, I didn't know where he was. And my imagination was going wild, thinking that she probably just left the city that we were in and just went off and hid him somewhere. So for me to never find him again. And so it's quite painful, because I always have been a very active father. And I even helped give birth to him. I helped the anesthesiologist when I was still a med student. And so I was there from the very beginning. I began teaching him mathematics, biology, how to draw, how to play, how to create things with Lego. I've been a very active father from the very beginning. And so, if you're going through some struggles yourself in your health, and whether it be your stomach issues or other issues like maybe brain fog, maybe joint pain, maybe heart issues, maybe mental capacity issues as far as concentration, poor sleep, whether it be bloating, whether it be weight control, whether it be diabetes, there are natural solutions that will actually reverse or stop the progression of the illness through functional medicine. So I really, really believe in this methodology, as several other doctors, top doctors in America do, like Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Stephen Gundry, and other doctors, Dr. Deepak Chopra, Dr. Andrew Weil. So this is the future of medicine. It's more personalized medicine, focusing on the cause rather than just on the symptoms, and using only harmful drugs that don't do the body any good. And also, what's also important is that we were never focusing in med school on nutrition, but also on healthy emotional support. In psychiatry, they think that a pill will take care of any problem. That's bullshit, that's nonsense. It only dulls your senses and does other negative things. So that's not the way, that's not the road. Pills aren't the road. But plant-based natural medicines are, combined with lifestyle changes, combined with deeper testing, combined with detoxification solutions to help push back, reverse your condition so that you can become healthier. And I'm sure, because maybe you're listening to this, I'm sure that you're frustrated with what your doctors are not giving you, real answers, real solutions, but just giving you prescription after prescription after prescription. And you know that it's not helping you. You're still struggling with your health. And your health affects your relationships with your children, with your partner, with your career. And without your health, nothing else is possible. Not your investments, not your career, So everything hinges on your health. This is why it's so important to invest in your health. I know we've been trained since the very beginning. Trust your doctor, trust your doctor. Let him give you a prescription. It'll take care of your life. But you have discovered that it's not helping at all, but actually just making things the same way without any change. So I had to do these things too. I had to wrestle in my mind I had to wrestle in my mind the training that I received versus the real world results of people still struggling with their disease, and people are not really being helped by the medicines, just the symptoms, but not really taking care of the disease. I had to swallow that too, and it was a hard pill to swallow. And for example, in my family, we have diabetes, and diabetes is big around the world. It's huge, and we were never ever told, studying diabetes, that it's reversible, and natural ways of reversing and stopping diabetes. We were never told this. So yeah, it still is a very, very painful road for me to take, because in September, when I visited my son for his birthday, my psychopathic ex, she called the police when I showed up at the meeting. My mother, she knew my mother was coming from California. So my mother showed up at the restaurant the previous day as well. So the second meeting, my ex just thought that I wouldn't be there, that just my mother would be there to visit her grandson. But when I showed up, she pretended to make a phone call to friends. And then minutes later, the police came. And like before, when I was put in jail for bullshit reasons like harassment. Yeah, she told them that I was harassing her and my son, which was nonsense, of course. After several hours in a cold jail, they found no evidence, so they let me go. But the humiliation, the shame, you know. She texted me saying, "Oh, your son wants to meet you. Please meet him at the toy store." And who showed up at the toy store? Not my son, but the police. And so this is how incompetent and corrupt the system is back there in that country that I still have to deal with today. So these are my struggles with my health, with a painful divorce, and my health too. I mean, I was 200 pounds when I was in med school, and my rheumatologist, I had gout as well, and fibromyalgia, and my rheumatologist just said, take these pills, and it didn't help, of course. Okay, they would alleviate sometimes the pain, but wouldn't solve these horrible gout attacks that I used to have. And so I got no answers as well, just like you. I got no answers. And I realized that that's a dead end. Pharmaceutical medicine, what we were taught, is a dead end. And I will show you some clips where back in the 20s, the Rockefeller families, along with the other rich families, just started to smear anybody promoting natural medicines. They started promoting their patentable, money-makeable, chemistry-based medicines that didn't really help you with your disease, but made them lots and lots of money.
At the beginning of the 20th century, the Rockefeller Foundation turned its attention to the acquisition of pharmaceutical companies. They started buying them up in order to profit from their patented drugs. Unfortunately for pharmaceutical companies, vitamins cannot be patented. Now, the pharmaceutical cartels were faced with a dilemma. How do you promote the sale of extremely profitable patented drugs over natural remedies like vitamins? The answer? You find a way to control doctors and influence what they prescribe. You might think that this sounds like some sort of a science fiction movie, but that's exactly what happened in the United States. Slowly and methodically, medical practices moved to a profit-driven system promoting pharmaceutical drug sales and profitable surgery over curative medical practices. Basically, the long-term management of diseases was found to be more profitable than efforts to cure diseases.
When somebody first told me about this, I didn't want to believe it. You know, I was a med student back then. I said, come on, really? No way, impossible. And then, you know, especially now today, with the medicines that they're putting out, especially these vaccines, you know that people are getting really hurt by it, from autism to the sudden deaths these days. It's really a dark time in healthcare, and dark time in medicine, because doctors are being blackmailed. Lose your job or promote these horrible things and give them to innocent people and their children, their families. Or else lose your job, or else lose your license. It's horrible time these days. And so you're about to realize that there is a better way. There is a better way of making your health and taking care of your health and finding and getting real good solutions. Solutions that really, not just the symptoms, but the causes, you know. As I have found out, I had to do the same. I had to swallow this pill myself and help myself. And this is what I only do. And plus, I also focus on mental mindset balance. And that's so important because it influences your physical health tremendously. And so, yeah. So I really congratulate you on wanting better out of life, wanting better out of your health, because you know your health is everything in your life, for your family, for your children, for your partners. So this is Dr. Rick.